What is an inner child? The inner child is a psychological concept that refers to the part of our subconscious that represents the child we once were. This inner child is characterized by the emotions, experiences, and needs that we had during our childhood, and can continue to impact our adult life if not properly addressed. What is an inner child wound? An inner child wound is a psychological injury that occurs during childhood and affects the development of the inner child. These wounds can occur because of abuse, neglect, trauma, or other negative experiences that prevent the child from fully expressing themselves, feeling loved, or having their emotional needs met. Now, let us talk about the science of neuropsychology behind our inner child wounds. Neuropsychology is the scientific study of the relationship between the brain, behavior, and cognitive processes. When it comes to inner child wounds, neuropsychology can provide insight into the mechanisms by which childhood experiences can affect the developing brain, leading to lasting emotional scars. Research in neuropsychology has shown that experiences during childhood can shape the development and function of the brain, particularly in areas involved in emotional regulation and stress response. For example, studies have found that children who experience chronic stress or trauma may have alterations in the structure and function of the amygdala, a brain region involved in the processing of emotional stimuli and the regulation of fear responses. Similarly, experiences of neglect or lack of emotional support during childhood can impact the development of the prefrontal cortex, a brain region involved in executive functioning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. This can lead to difficulties with impulse control, emotional regulation, and decision-making later in life. Neuropsychology can also help us understand the role of attachment in shaping the developing brain. Research has shown that secure attachment, characterized by consistent emotional support and responsiveness from a caregiver, can promote healthy brain development and emotional regulation. In contrast, insecure attachment, characterized by inconsistent or inadequate emotional support, can lead to alterations in brain development that can impact emotional regulation and attachment patterns later in life. Overall, the science of neuropsychology highlights the importance of early experiences in shaping the developing brain, and how these experiences can impact emotional regulation, attachment, and behavior throughout the lifespan. By understanding the mechanisms by which childhood experiences can impact the brain and behavior, we can better understand and address the root causes of inner child wounds, and work towards healing and recovery. Neuropsychology affects the ways we think, act, and behave. Neuropsychology suggests that our beliefs and inner child wounds may be influenced by the structure and function of our brains. For example, research has shown that the amygdala, a part of the brain involved in processing emotions and making decisions, also plays a role in the formation of inner child wounds and stereotypes. Studies have found that when people are exposed to stimuli that elicit a negative emotional response, e.g., images of people from a different racial group, the amygdala becomes more active. This suggests that the amygdala may be involved in the formation of negative inner child wounds and stereotypes. Other research has suggested that how information is processed in the brain may also influence the formation of beliefs and inner child wounds. For example, studies have found that people are more likely to form inner child wounded beliefs when they are exposed to information that is presented in an inner child wounded or selective manner, rather than when they are exposed to a more balanced or neutral presentation of the information. There is a strong relationship between the way our brain processes external stimuli coming from our environment, especially during the early childhood and developmental stages, which serves as the basis of all our beliefs and inner child wounds. It defines the way we operate as adults based on the formation and maintenance of these mental constructs. Now, let us understand the role of early child development in integrated inner child wounds in adulthood. Early child development plays a critical role in the formation of inner child wounds that can persist into adulthood. During early childhood, the brain is developing rapidly and is highly sensitive to the environment and experiences of the child. This period of development is often referred to as the critical period or sensitive period, as it is a time when certain experiences and interactions are especially influential in shaping the developing brain. When a child experiences stress, trauma, neglect, or other adverse experiences during this critical period, it can disrupt the normal development of the brain and lead to the formation of inner child wounds. These wounds can manifest in a variety of ways, including emotional dysregulation, difficulty forming healthy relationships, low self-esteem, and negative self-talk. For example, a child who experiences neglect or abandonment may develop an inner child wound of feeling unworthy or unlovable. This wound may persist into adulthood, leading to difficulties forming healthy relationships, feelings of insecurity and low self-esteem, and a tendency to seek validation and approval from others. Similarly, a child who experiences physical or emotional abuse may develop inner child wounds related to fear, anxiety, and mistrust. These wounds may lead to difficulty regulating emotions and behavior, a tendency to avoid or withdraw from social situations, and difficulty forming trusting relationships with others. It's important to note that not all children who experience adverse childhood experiences will develop inner child wounds, and not all inner child wounds result from adverse childhood experiences. However, early childhood experiences play a significant role in shaping the development of the brain and can have lasting effects on emotional and behavioral functioning throughout the lifespan. By understanding the role of early childhood experiences in the formation of inner child wounds, we can better understand the root causes of these wounds and work towards healing and recovery. This may involve addressing the underlying trauma or adverse experiences, developing healthy coping mechanisms, and seeking support from mental health professionals. Having understood the background, the next question that arises in the mind is, how does an inner child wound get created? Inner child wounds can be created in a variety of ways, such as physical or emotional abuse, neglect, abandonment, bullying, or witnessing traumatic events. These experiences can lead to the child feeling powerless, insecure, unloved, and afraid, and can cause long-lasting emotional scars that can impact their adult life. So, why do such inner child wounds occur? Inner child wounds occur when the emotional needs of a child are not met or are actively suppressed, leading to feelings of shame, guilt, and unworthiness. These wounds can be caused by a variety of factors, including family dysfunction, societal pressures, and individual temperament. Now, let us understand what are schemas and what are different types of inner child schemas. In psychology, a schema refers to a mental framework or template that helps us organize and interpret information from our environment. Schemas are developed through experiences and interactions, and they shape our perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors. When it comes to inner child wounds, schemas can play a significant role in shaping our beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world around us. These schemas are often developed during childhood and can persist into adulthood, shaping our perceptions and behaviors in a variety of ways. Several different types of inner child schemas can contribute to inner child wounds. Here are some examples to help understand more about this, starting with the abandonment or instability schema. This schema involves a belief that significant others will abandon or reject us, leading to feelings of instability and fear. Then we have the mistrust or abuse schema. This schema involves a belief that others cannot be trusted, often due to experiences of abuse or neglect. Next is the emotional deprivation schema. This schema involves a belief that one's emotional needs will not be met, leading to feelings of emptiness and loneliness. Then there is the defectiveness or shame schema. This schema involves a belief that one is fundamentally flawed or defective, leading to feelings of shame and low self-esteem. Next is the social isolation or alienation schema. This schema involves a belief that one is fundamentally different or separate from others, leading to feelings of isolation and disconnection. We also have something called the subjugation schema. This schema involves a belief that one's needs and desires must be sacrificed to please others, leading to feelings of powerlessness and resentment. Enmeshment or undeveloped self-schema. This schema involves a belief that one's own needs and desires are not important, leading to difficulty in developing a sense of self and maintaining healthy boundaries. Failure schema. This schema involves a belief that one is destined to fail or not live up to expectations, leading to feelings of self-doubt and fear of failure. These are just a few examples of the types of inner child schemas that can contribute to inner child wounds. By identifying and understanding these schemas, individuals can work towards healing and developing healthier beliefs and behaviors. This may involve working with a therapist, developing new coping strategies, and learning new skills for emotional regulation and healthy relationships. There are several ways in which maternal inner child wounds can be passed on to a child. Here are some examples. Overprotectiveness. A mother who experienced neglect or abandonment as a child may become overly protective of her child, resulting in an inability to let go and allow the child to explore and grow. Criticism. A mother who is criticized or shamed as a child may unconsciously repeat this pattern and criticize or shame her child, leading to low self-esteem and feelings of inadequacy. Inconsistent or absent emotional support. A mother who did not receive consistent emotional support as a child may struggle to provide it to her own child, leading to feelings of emotional neglect and insecurity. Enmeshment. A mother who did not have healthy boundaries growing up may become enmeshed with her child, leading to a lack of autonomy and an inability to develop a sense of self. Perfectionism. A mother who was pressured to be perfect as a child may pass on this expectation to her own child, leading to unrealistic expectations and a fear of failure. Emotional unavailability. A mother who did not receive emotional support as a child may struggle to provide it to her own child, leading to a lack of emotional connection and difficulty forming healthy relationships. Neglect or abandonment. A mother who experienced neglect or abandonment as a child may unintentionally repeat this pattern and neglect or abandon her own child, leading to feelings of rejection and abandonment. It's important to note that these patterns may not be intentional and may be the result of the mother's own unhealed inner child wounds. By recognizing and addressing these wounds, mothers can break the cycle and provide a healthy and nurturing environment for their children. It is important to note that inner child wounds can be internalized by a variety of people in a person's life, not just by their mother. Here are some examples of inner child wounds that can be internalized by other people, starting with father wounds. A person may internalize wounds from their father or father figure, such as feeling abandoned or neglected, feeling a lack of approval or acceptance, or feeling pressure to conform to strict gender roles. Next is the sibling wounds. Another very common reason for inner child wounds is sibling rivalry or comparisons and everything in between. A person may internalize wounds from their siblings, such as feeling bullied or excluded, feeling like they don't measure up to their siblings' achievements, or feeling like their sibling received more attention or favoritism. Then we have the peer group. A person may internalize wounds from their peers, such as feeling rejected or excluded from social groups, feeling like they don't fit in, or feeling like they are constantly being judged or criticized. A child may pick up these while playing with classmates or playmates, being bullied for looks or grades, or even for coming from a particular religion, culture, or economic background. Wounds from teachers or authority figures are also common. A person may internalize wounds from teachers or authority figures, such as feeling like they are not smart enough or not living up to expectations, feeling unfairly criticized or punished, or feeling like they are not valued as an individual. Then we have the romantic partners. Especially true for teenagers, a person may internalize wounds from past or current romantic partners, such as feeling like they are not worthy of love, feeling like they are constantly being criticized or rejected, or feeling like they have to sacrifice their own needs to please their partner. These are just a few examples of the types of inner child wounds that can be internalized by people other than a person's mother. The important thing to remember is that inner child wounds can come from a variety of sources, and addressing these wounds often involves identifying the source of the wound and working to heal the underlying beliefs and behaviors that contribute to the wound. Now, let us understand why it is important to heal the inner child. Healing the inner child is important because unresolved emotional wounds from childhood can continue to impact a person's life in adulthood. These wounds can lead to a range of problems, including relationship issues, mental health problems, and addiction. By healing the inner child, individuals can learn to address these issues and move towards a more fulfilling life. Let us now talk about how do our inner child wounds affect our adult life. Our inner child wounds can affect our adult lives in several ways. They can impact our relationships, our sense of self-worth, our ability to cope with stress, and our overall emotional well-being. They can also lead to maladaptive coping mechanisms such as substance abuse, self-harm, or other destructive behaviors. Sliding towards healing our inner child, which we do in Level 2 of the Healing with Akashic Records course, I now take the opportunity to slide towards our course on conscious parenting, starting with the first and the most basic question, which is how do our inner child wounds affect the way we parent our children? Our inner child wounds can impact the way we parent our children by causing us to repeat patterns of behavior from our childhood. For example, if we experienced neglect as a child, we may struggle to be emotionally present for our children, or if we experienced abuse, we may struggle to discipline our children healthfully and constructively. By healing our inner child wounds, we can break these cycles of behavior and become better and more conscious parents. Conscious parenting is an approach to parenting that involves being mindful, present, and intentional in our interactions with our children. It is based on the idea that parents can create a deep and meaningful relationship with their children by understanding their own emotions, beliefs, and behaviors, and by cultivating a sense of awareness and empathy towards their children's needs and feelings. The need for conscious parenting arises from the fact that traditional parenting methods often focus on control, discipline, and obedience, which can lead to power struggles, resentment, and emotional distance between parents and children. Conscious parenting, on the other hand, emphasizes connection, understanding, and empathy, which can foster emotional intelligence, resilience, and positive self-image in children. The importance of conscious parenting lies in the fact that it can help children develop a strong sense of self-worth, empathy, and emotional regulation, which are essential skills for navigating the complex and challenging world they will encounter as they grow up. Conscious parenting can also help parents cultivate a deeper understanding of themselves, their own triggers and patterns, and ultimately lead to greater personal growth and fulfillment. To become a conscious parent, one can start by practicing mindfulness, which involves being present and attentive to our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors as well as those of our children. We can also cultivate empathy by actively listening to our children's perspectives and feelings, validating their emotions, and responding with compassion and understanding. Finally, we can adopt a growth mindset, which involves viewing parenting as a learning process, embracing challenges and mistakes as opportunities for growth, and focusing on positive reinforcement and encouragement. Having understood the inner child and how it affects us, here is what you can do to heal the inner child. 1. Acknowledge and validate your emotions. 2. Practice self-compassion and self-care. 3. Reconnect with your inner child through visualization or other techniques. 4. Journal or express your emotions through creative outlets. 5. Seek therapy or counseling. 6. Practice mindfulness and meditation. 7. Connect with supportive and empathetic people. 8. Learn about and challenge negative thought patterns and beliefs. 9. Create a safe and nurturing environment for yourself. 10. Practice forgiveness and let go of past hurts. I hope you found this podcast helpful.